Right, hello, beautiful people. So I know it's been a long time since I made my post about make doing a post about spiritual abuse, church bullies, things of that nature. I went to go visit my kids in Houston for the holidays, so that's one of the reasons why I did not post right away. As well as when I got there, my son said to me, "Mom, this is the best birthday and Christmas I've ever had." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean, son?" He said it's the first Christmas and the first birthday. His birthday is December 18th that I had that wasn't ruined and that wasn't horrible. And I said, you know what? I agree. So let's just enjoy it for what it is. In order for me to explain the rest of the story about spiritual abuse and how those things came to be, I would have to get into something that's very embarrassing at this point, and not embarrassing because I'm ashamed of the decision I made. I'm never ashamed of decisions I've made. I try to look at it as what lessons can I learn from it, good or bad. And so I was a corrections officer for Texas Department of Criminal Justice for almost 5 years, and that's where I met James Sebastian O'Neal, the man that's soon to be my ex-husband, just dealing with some paperwork there. And before I go into how I ended up getting to his family's church, I do have a message from my son to my soon-to-be ex-husband, his family, and his flying monkeys. And this is because when I got down there, my son opened up to me, and he told me he didn't open up to me originally because he was scared. He was scared for himself, and he was scared for me because of the treatment we was already receiving from James O'Neal. Um, but this is his message. His message is James O'Neal set him back mentally years with his abuse of making him feel as though he wasn't enough, that he was quote unquote retarded, that his mother set him up for failure, that he would never be anything. Um, and I want, well, not just me, my son wants you guys to know, those of you that support him and enable him in his behavior, there's a lot y'all don't know. You can continue to allow this person to lie to you if you want to. That's your choice. You can even continue to allow him to mistreat the women in his lives. That's fine too. But it's never okay to sit back and allow the mistreatment of children. Do I think anybody in his family would purposely do that? No, not to my son, especially because they know how my son is. I will say that there's a reason this man treated my son the way he did, and that's because of his own son, and I will be producing those receipts very, very soon. But not before I get to the story, because in order for everything to make sense and in order to debunk lies, I must stay with the facts and what I can prove. Okay? And in order for me to do that, I have to start back at the prison. Okay? Um, so yeah, that's my son's message to you guys. You flying monkeys, that includes your Secret Service friends and those that covered for you while you were here in the DMV area. And he even tried to blame Officer Warren. And anybody that knows Officer Warren know that he's an amazing person. But that's the excuse that he used for beating on my son. Now, from this moment on, I will never discuss my son again because there are certain things in place that we are doing to make sure that justice is served for him. Now, how did Chauncey get to Bird and Bear Ministries, aka soon to become Overcomers Church? Overcomers. So while I was at the penitentiary, and at this time, me and James at the time, he wanted me to meet his family. So in order for me to do that, I would have to go to the church. So around the time I decided to go to the church, my sister had just delivered her twin babies, one of which was in the hospital as far as my first visit to the church is concerned. So I kept the baby boy that was not in the hospital, and I had my two kids with me, and we went to the church. So it was already awkward just because James wouldn't be there, and it was just awkward. So, sat there, listened to the sermon, paid my tithes and offerings like everybody else, and then towards the end, no matter how nervous I was determined to just, I talked myself into introducing myself. And that's what I did. And when I tell you everyone was nasty, I mean everyone was nasty, with the exception of two people. I don't want you to think that the church was just full of people, because it wasn't. The church was maybe 15 members, if that, majority of which was family members. So the two people that were very, nice to me, even if they that wasn't really feeling me, was James's grandmother and his brother. Okay, those were the two that was, treated me like a human being. And I explained to James, the next time I saw him that, it was just very uncomfortable. I felt like kind of the joke or whatever. But I didn't want to judge too soon. I said maybe it was, my nerves getting to me, because I was indeed nervous. And I'm not the type of person that just start hanging out with people and talking to them. Once I get to know you, then I talk to you. That's the type of person I am. Okay, so all right, so let's fast forward. I've been going to the church for months now, and while James was incarcerated, one of the things we discussed was a church we would go to. I explained that I would like to go to a different church because at that point I was still uncomfortable. And he said to me, well, you go to whichever church you choose, I'm going to my family's church. And I said, okay, well, if I'm going to be married to this person, I need to at least be attending the church. And so once I made that decision, I decided to join the church. And when I joined the church, my son, he decided to join as well, but not my daughter. And again, I'll let my children tell their own stories. I'm not getting into that. One of the procedures for joining the church, according to their bylaws, you have to go through a process. So once you join, they take you to the back. They give you, they tell you or read to you a scripture, and then you are supposed to take every Sunday from then on for a couple weeks. You're supposed to initially go through orientation. So you come through, you go to church early every Sunday so that you can go through orientation with the couple that was in charge of that process. I didn't get that. The very next Sunday after joining church, again I had my kids and I had my sister, my nephew. And I remember tussling with my nephew, not tussling, he was maybe 7, 8 weeks old. So not really tussling with him, just trying to make sure he was comfortable in his little carrier. And I hear my name, the pastor, James's dad, is calling my name in the front of the church with a certificate in his hand. And it's a certificate of completion of something I've never done. And I didn't want to continue to embarrass. It was already embarrassing because I had no clue what was going on and why my name was being called. And so I'm walking up and I go up to the front and I receive the certificate, and you're supposed to stop and take a photo or whatever. And the two clowns, James's siblings, are in the back laughing, like literally laughing out loud at me. So now I know, okay, I'm a butt of a joke. Again, I've never spent any time with these people outside of church at this point because James is still incarcerated. Absolutely humiliated and embarrassed for no reason whatsoever. It was absolutely unnecessary and uncalled for. And I keep pausing a bit mainly because I am driving. And I'm driving because for the first time, and I'll get more into that later, I'll officially have a roof over my head since June of 2024. This person that I married took all my money, ruined my credit, overcharged my credit card, had everything past due by the time I got my hands on it. And so with that being said, I couldn't get an apartment on my own. And so Flying Monkeys, understand that you guys were a part of that too, because he had to continue to impress you all while he was making $14 an hour, yet spending everything that I've made as an educator. So the next video you guys will get from me, I am going to start with the text messages and emails from James O'Neill's Spawn of Satan, and then I will start from the beginning as far as how we came to be in the penitentiary. All right, you guys, thank you so much for your patience. Please do me a favor. This is not some type of weird vendetta. It's time for people to stop, especially the black community, to stop covering up narcissistic abuse, toxic abuse, regardless if the person is narcissistic as far as diagnosed or not. Stop covering up the abuse that is happening. Stop being quiet, because a lot of things could have been avoided if people just weren't quiet. Even with me doing the first few shorts, because they're not videos, they're shorts that I did leading up to this point, everybody that supported me in it is mainly behind the scenes. And that's okay. You don't have to come out and say anything, but make it normal for abuse to not be normal. Make it normal for black women and young black men to not be abused and expected to take it because they're strong. All right? All right.